at a few features Google Gemini has to empower your students to create their own study materials. I'm putting myself in the role of a high school chemistry student, and using just the objective from the teacher, I was able to use Canvas to make an outline, flashcards and a matching quiz, then NotebookLM to create a mind map and a video overview. The Storybook Gem I used to make my own personal story, and then Learning Coach to make a step-by-step learning plan. Let me show you how. So in my class, we're studying the development of atomic theory and the brilliant minds behind the research. My goal is to understand the development of atomic theory and how it applies real world, and then create my own model based on these theories. Whoa, this is a pretty chunky objective. I'm going to go to Gemini to get some extra help to unpack this. First, I'll go to the Tools menu and click on Canvas and ask it to write a study guide for me. I'm going to paste in the objective from my teacher, but I'm also adding some more context about me, such as I'm a high school student studying the following topic, and then down here at the bottom, I'll say, write a study guide for me. And here's what I got. I get an introduction to what the atom is. Here's each of my scientists and their postulates, even detailing for me the limitation of their theories. And I love, there's even a section down here for real-world application. How these ideas long ago are still the foundation of modern science and technology. What I also love is that Gemini created for me an interactive HTML file that visually demonstrates the evolution of the atomic model. So cool. So if I click here, I can click these buttons to show how knowledge or ideas about the atom has changed over time. If I open my study guide back open, in the upper right-hand corner, I can now make an infographic, a quiz, a website, an audio overview. Let's make an infographic. I can see it's examining the guide, charting the timeline, making the visuals. Thing of beauty. Here it's even giving me information about the type of code that was used to build this infographic, Tailwind, JavaScript, chart. Let's check out this infographic. A timeline. Big ideas and their limitations for each scientist. Model complexity over time. Great job bringing these ideas and making them more visual. Now let's make some flashcards. Kind of playing question 1, answer 1, question 2, answer. Let's kick it up a little bit and say interactive flashcards. Gemini is going to start its coding magic again. All right, here's the cards generated for me. I can see that I have 10 cards right here. I can flip through them, my question, and then flip them on the other side to get the answer. Nice. I'm going to scroll back up in my history one more time and go find that study guide because I want it to create a quiz for me. One thing I like about Gemini is that after it produces content for you, you can see into its thinking. So if we click this show thinking button right here and click the drop down menu, it says I'm focused on developing a 10-question multiple choice quiz derived from the study guide. The primary objective is to evaluate practical application of the concepts instead of just their conceptual understanding. I'll aim to blend conceptual and application-based questions for a balanced assessment. So in this quiz that it's created for me, I can see there's 10 questions here. Here's the question, my answer choices. I even have a hint button here if I want to use that. All right, I didn't get it right, but it tells me feedback here about why this is not right, and then why the correct answer is the correct answer. And it's like that for the rest of the questions. So this is a great start to helping me understand these topics. I'm loving all these resources that it created for me. Let's jump over to NotebookLM. I'll start by creating a new notebook. And I'm going to paste in the outline that Canvas made for me. Let's jump back up in my Canvas. Here's the study guide. Open that up. I'll click the share button in the upper right-hand corner. Copy contents. Come over to my new notebook and paste. Insert, let that process. And here it's ready to add more notes, an audio overview, mind map. Over here we have a video overview, and even reports are new. I can also start chatting with Notebook and asking more questions. Let's make a mind map. Let that generate. Okay, we start with our main idea, the evolution of atomic theory. I can click on any one of these ideas and expand it. This green arrow lets me know there's more to explore. So love this for seeing a tree of how things relate to each other. I can come back into the studio by clicking these arrows here, hit that back button, studio, and then now I want it to generate a video overview for me. Fair warning though, video overviews can take a while to generate. All right, you'll know it's finished processing when you see that play button. Let's give it a listen.
All right, let's get into it. Today, we're basically becoming detectives to solve one of the biggest mysteries in the history of science. You know, it's a question we've been asking ourselves forever, and the answer, the atom, well, its story is way more like a gripping detective novel than some dry chapter in a textbook. So let's dive in. For the next few minutes, just imagine we're following a trail of clues. We're going to look at the evidence, we'll meet our key suspects, these brilliant scientists, and see how every single new discovery just completely flipped the script on what we thought an atom actually was. Okay, so our investigation...
I love that, really drawing the students in immediately. So that audio overview that we have the option to create, it's basically pairing that with a slide deck. One more cool tool to help you study. Now we'll wrap up by looking at Google Gems. So back at gemini.google.com/app, over here on the left, I expand the menu and you can explore gems. What is a gem, you might ask? Well, right here it says that there are custom versions of Gemini that give you tailored responses. I'll show you Learning Coach and Storybook. When we click into Learning Coach, it says, here to help you learn and practice new concepts. Tell me what you'd like to learn and I'll help you get started. You can see under here, recent, I've practiced this before, but I'll go ahead and paste it, my previous prompt. Again, comparing it to that detective story theme of scientists trying to figure out what atoms are made of and why it's important, because atoms are everything around you. It gives me a breakdown of a step-by-step learning plan to make sure we cover everything. The learning plan is going to start with Dalton, then Thomason's, then Rutherford's, then Bohr's, then the quantum mechanical model. And it says by the end of my session, I'll be able to create an awesome, correctly labeled model that shows the journey of the atomic theory. Are you ready to start with the first step, John Dalton's atomic theory? And I'm going to say yes. It gives me a review of Dalton, his theories, and then it asks me a question. Does the idea of the indivisible marble atom make sense to you? Would you like to try a learning activity to make sure we've got the basics down? Yes, again. And so what I like about the Learning Coach is it takes you through a series of questions and activities for you to practice and gradually build your comprehension. That's definitely going to be a fun one for your students to help them scaffold their own learning. If I go back to GEMS, on the left-hand side, now I'll do Storybook. And with Storybook, it creates a customized picture book, either for children or adults. Type in the topic, your target audience, the age, and optionally, you can even add a style for the images. So I'll put that same prompt back into Gemini and click Submit. I didn't do any other recommendations about asking it to use a particular style like claymation or anime or even uploading a reference photo. And this is what I got. It gives me a story called Alara's Atomic Adventure. And I can click through. Beautiful, high quality image. It's a young girl talking to John Dalton. Scroll down, read the story. Now she's meeting our next scientist, J.J. Thomson, then Ernest Rutherford. I did eventually go back and say, I love this story. Can you rename the main character to Danica, me, and make her African-American high school student with brown skin and short dreadlocks? And then it reproduced Danica's atomic adventure. And I'm so excited for students to be able to see them in the content. Slight issue there with the two arms, but hey, that's AI for you. moving on. It's a great story and a very engaging way for your students to feel like the content has become personalized. You can even listen to the book, start from the beginning, listen in full screen, higher pitch, lower pitch. So there you have it. So many ways you can use Google Gemini to create different instructional materials to help you or your student grasp the content. Can't wait to see what you come up with. Make sure you share with us. Thanks for watching.